Hello. In this video, my goal is to give you a sense of what it is we're going to be doing over the course of the year in Algebra 2. In a class like geometry, you pretty quickly get the sense that the course is going to focus on shapes and the properties of those shapes and figuring out different things about those shapes and their relationship with one another. But it's perhaps not as easy to answer that same question for Algebra 2. But I want to try. And I was lucky enough to hear a presenter a few weeks ago, and he described Algebra 2 as the following. He said, really, much of our time and energy and our efforts over the course of the year are about taking these things we call functions. And functions are certainly something that we'll define explicitly in the next few days. But we're going to take these things that we call functions, and we're going to essentially do four things over and over and over again for these functions. We're going to graph them, we're going to transform them, and you may recall that transformations in math mean that we are going to change an image in certain ways while allowing it to retain its properties. We are going to solve equations related to that function, and we're going to solve related word problems in an attempt to apply what we've learned to real-world situations. So I imagine you have some familiarity with graphing, and that's something that we'll focus on heavily this year. If you've forgotten what transformations are, you can take a look at this graph. So here's an example of a function's graph, and we're going to learn how to transform this graph. We're going to learn how to stretch it horizontally, how to translate it, meaning slide it around this graphical area, move it up, down, left, and right. We'll learn how to reflect it, essentially make it point down. And not just with this function, but with many functions. And there's a wide variety on this sheet, many of which we'll be studying this year in advanced algebra. So that's a quick overview of what this class will primarily be about. Over and over again throughout the course of the year, you'll see me refer to these steps, and it should give you some reassurance that the class is not as sophisticated as some might make it appear, and you could really spend a lifetime exploring functions, but we'll be spending this school year together studying functions and essentially focusing on these four activities.